How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? It's Mike from PokeTips Official, and today I'm going to be teaching you how you can breed your Pokemon in Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. By the end of this tutorial, you will be a Pokemon breeding master, so without further ado, let's jump right into it. The magic all happens at Paniola Nursery. When you leave the right combination of two Pokemon at the nursery together, sometimes you might come back and be surprised with an egg. The nursery lady will promise you that she doesn't know where it came from, but your two Pokemon have came together and made an egg. Now, how does this work? When you put a male and a female Pokemon together in the Pokemon nursery, sometimes they will produce an egg depending on if they are compatible. What determines their compatibility are egg groups. Now, there are 15 different types of egg groups, and every Pokemon falls into at least one. As long as two Pokemon are in the same egg group and one is a male and one is a female, they will be able to breed together. So, for example, if you have a female Tyranitar and a male Cubone together in the Pokemon nursery, since they are both in the monster egg group, eventually they will come together and produce a Pokemon egg. But how do we know what Pokemon will be in that egg? The Pokemon that's in the egg is always determined by the female Pokemon that you leave at the Pokemon nursery. The Pokemon that hatches out of the egg will always be the base unevolved form of the mother. So, for example, with our Tyranitar and Cubone example, the Pokemon that would hatch out of the egg would be a Larvitar. Now, there are a few exceptions to this rule with Hoenn and Sinnoh baby Pokemon like Munchlax and Azurill, which require the parent Pokemon to be holding a special incense to get them to hatch out of an egg. All Pokemon, except those that are in the Undiscovered group, which are typically legendary Pokemon, can breed. Now, let's talk about Ditto. Ditto is by far the best Pokemon to have when you're breeding Pokemon, because Ditto can breed with every single Pokemon, except for those Pokemon that are in the Undiscovered group, and ironically, other Ditto. When Ditto breeds with another Pokemon, it doesn't matter if it's male or female or even genderless, the offspring is always going to be based on the Pokemon that is not Ditto. Now, the way that the eggs are produced in-game is every 257 steps, the Pokemon in the Pokemon nursery will have a chance of producing an egg. You can tell that your Pokemon have produced an egg because the lady outside of the Pokemon nursery will cross her arms when an egg is generated. If the two Pokemon in the nursery are from the same evolutionary line, say Charmander and Charizard, they'll have a higher chance of producing an egg rather than two Pokemon that are from different species, such as Charmander and Ditto. Pokemon that don't have the same original trainers will also have a higher chance of producing an egg in the daycare. You can get the item the Oval Charm to increase this chance even higher, and obtaining the Oval Charm is very simple. After you beat the Pokemon League and become the champion, if you head on over to Heya City and head over to the Game Freak building, on the second floor of the building there will be a trainer there called Game Freak Morimoto. Beat him and Iwo in a double battle and then he will give you the Oval Charm. Alright, so now we have plenty of Pokemon eggs. What is the fastest way to hatch them? Well, for starters, you're going to want to have a Pokemon with the ability Magma Armor or Flame Body in the start of your party. These abilities both cut the amount of steps it takes to hatch a Pokemon in half, saving you a lot of time. An easy way to go ahead and get yourself a Pokemon with one of these two abilities is head on over to Route 8 and go ahead and catch a Fletchling. The wild Fletchling here come anywhere from level 17 to level 20, so all you have to do is raise it up one level and then it will evolve and have the ability Flame Body. Also, if you play the Rotom Lottery a lot, sometimes you might get the ability Rotom Hatch, which, like these two abilities, will decrease the amount of steps that you need to take to hatch a Pokemon. The fastest place to hatch your eggs in Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon is directly outside of the Pokemon nursery. If you go into the little fenced-off area, you could go on your ride Tauros and just spin around in circles while holding down the B button. It will quickly count as a lot of steps. Since using the circle pad and the B button at the same time require two hands at once, if you want to do this one-handed, you could also do the same thing with Stoutland. Stoutland walks faster than Tauros, so you can just move around the circle pad and have your other hand free, but it's going to be slower than a running Tauros would be. And now that we know how to efficiently breed in Pokemon Ultra Sun and Moon, let's talk about IVs, the main reason that most people start breeding Pokemon in the first place. IVs stand for Individual Values, a stat in the Pokemon game that makes your Pokemon stronger. IVs range anywhere from 0 to 31, with 0 being the lowest and 31 being the best. Your Pokemon have IV values in every single stat, HP, attack, defense, and so on. And at level 100, having a perfect 31 IV stat would result in 31 extra stat points on your Pokemon, making a significant difference, especially if you want to be a competitive Pokemon battler. You can actually very easily check your IVs in-game. All you have to do is hatch 20 eggs, and then go to the battle tree and talk to the ace trainer standing by the PC. He's the guy in blue. After you hatch 20 Pokemon eggs, which should be very easy now that we know how to do that, when you talk to this guy, he will give you the judge function, which you could access through your Pokemon PC. Now, once you're using the judge function, you'll see a few statements like best, fantastic, very good, decent, no good. And basically, those correlate to an IV number. Best means you have a flawless perfect IV at 31, fantastic means you have an IV of 30, very good is a range from 26 to 29, pretty good is a range from 16 to 25, decent is a range from 1 to 15, and no good is an IV of 0. Now, if you're going for a completely perfect, flawless Pokemon, you are going to want it to say best for all 6 stats. Now, the reason Pokemon breeding is so great and so easy is because of the item, the Destiny Knot. With the Destiny Knot, a guaranteed 5 out of the 12 of the parent Pokemon's IVs will be passed down to the offspring Pokemon. So let's go back to our Tyranitar and Cubone example. Let's say Tyranitar has perfect 31 IVs in HP, attack, defense, and special defense. And Cubone has perfect 31 IVs in HP, attack, defense, and speed. Now, as long as one of those 2 Pokemon is holding the Destiny Knot, 5 of those IVs are guaranteed to get chosen and sent down to the baby Pokemon. So let's say with the Destiny Knot, we have an offspring that has Tyranitar's HP, Cubone's attack, Tyranitar's defense, Tyranitar's special defense, and Cubone's speed. And what do you know, now we have a Pokemon with 5 perfect IVs through breeding. And since most Tyranitar don't use special attack, this Larvitar is pretty much going to evolve into a perfect Tyranitar. The majority of all Pokemon are like that, where they don't need all 6 IVs to be perfect. There's one IV, usually attack or special attack, that the Pokemon doesn't need due to its moveset. With the Destiny Knot, getting a Pokemon with good IVs like this will not take very long at all, and the great thing is you could replace one of the Pokemon in the Pokemon nursery with one of the offspring if it has more desirable IVs. So, how do we get this amazing Destiny Knot? Well, it's very simple. All you have to do is go to Route 14, surf on the water, and you'll see a woman getting attacked by Frillish. Save her by defeating one of the Frillish, and then she's gonna reward you by giving you the Destiny Knot. Breeding with the Destiny Knot sounds really simple when you have 4 IV Pokemon, but 4 IV Pokemon are rare, right? No, actually not at all. Using SOS chaining, you could easily find 4 IV Pokemon, including Ditto. In SOS battles, after chaining 40 Pokemon, the Pokemon that are called for help are guaranteed to have 4 perfect IVs. If you don't have one already, I definitely recommend heading over to Mount Hokulani and getting yourself a Ditto with some great IVs. It's very, very easy with SOS chaining. If you don't know how to SOS chain, I'd recommend checking out my EV training guide, which I'm going to have a card link to on the screen right now. I go really in depth over there about how to properly SOS chain. So that's the beauty of Pokemon breeding in Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. It's very easy to get started, and since it's so easy to catch Pokemon with 4 perfect IVs already, that makes breeding so much quicker and so much easier. Because when you have those 2 parents with 4 perfect IVs each, that means 8 out of the 12 IVs that could be passed down with the Destiny Knot are already perfect. With a little bit of time and a little bit of luck, one of the baby Pokemon will come out with 5 perfect IVs, so that means 9 out of the 12 of the parents' IVs will be perfect, which will increase the chances of the Destiny Knot passing down more good IVs. Basically, you just swap out the Pokemon when the offspring Pokemon have better IVs. You'll have a perfect Pokemon in no time. Now, let's talk a little bit about natures. So we have that amazing 5 IV Larvitar now. We're done, right? Wait a second. It has the modest nature. Oh no! So there are 25 different natures in Pokemon. 20 of them raise one stat by 10% and lower another stat by 10%. The other 5 natures don't raise or lower any stats, so they're not that great because they don't bring your Pokemon to its maximum potential. Depending on the Pokemon, you're going to want to have different natures to boost their best stats. So going back to our Larvitar Tyranitar example, since Tyranitar has a really high base attack and only a decent base special attack, it would make the most sense for Tyranitar to use physical attacking moves. So that means we're going to want a nature that boosts up Tyranitar's attack stat. Since we won't use special attack at all on this Tyranitar, it's good to have a nature that will boost attack and lower special attack because that's just going to be all benefits to the Tyranitar. So that nature would be Adamant. When breeding, it's very important to take natures into consideration because those will make or break your Pokemon. Just like IVs, you could pass down natures when you're breeding by giving the parent Pokemon that you want the nature to be passed down from the Everstone. You can easily get yourself an Everstone by going to Howley City after you beat the game and going to Alima's house on the west side of town. Go into his house, talk to his dad, have a quick battle with Alima, and then he will give you the Everstone after you defeat him. Now don't worry, that 5IV Larvitar that we worked hard to get, it's still going to be useful to us because we could still use it as a parent and pass down those IVs to the offspring. We can give that 5IV Larvitar the Destiny Knot and we'll go get a parent with the correct nature. So let's say we're going back out to the wild, we're doing more SOS chanting, we found ourselves a nice 4IV Larvitar, we used a synchronized Pokemon to make sure it has the adamant nature and we go ahead and catch that, we put them together in the Pokemon nursery, and we breed them, let them do their thing, and then we will get some great offspring Pokemon with the correct nature and awesome IVs in no time. Now like I mentioned earlier, Pokemon with the ability Synchronize can be really helpful when you're going out to catch Pokemon with good IVs, because it'll allow you to have a little bit of control over the nature of the Pokemon that you're finding. So for example, if your Pokemon with the Synchronize ability has the adamant nature, it'll make it so the wild Pokemon that you encounter have approximately a 50% chance of also having the adamant nature, which means that it'll be a lot easier for you to find wild Pokemon with good IVs and the nature that you want for breeding. Alright, so now that you know all about breeding in Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, it's time to move on to some more advanced topics. So let's talk egg moves. There are some moves that Pokemon can only learn through breeding. Going back once again to our Tyranitar example, Tyranitar normally doesn't learn the move Dragon Dance leveling up, but it can inherit the move as an egg move by breeding with a Pokemon that learns Dragon Dance. So for example, if you have a male Haxorus that knows the move Dragon Dance, and a female Tyranitar and you put them together in the Pokemon nursery, the offspring Pokemon will come out knowing the move Dragon Dance. To see what egg moves the Pokemon you want to breed can learn, I'd recommend checking out Cerebi.net because they have the best list for all the egg moves. And while we're still on the topic of Pokemon moves, if you put two Pokemon in the same family together in the Pokemon nursery, so two Tyranitar for example, and they both know the move Earthquake, normally Larvitar wouldn't learn Earthquake until level 46, but since both of the parent Pokemon know that move, it will be passed down onto the offspring. So if the two parent Pokemon know the same move, and the baby Pokemon can learn it when it levels up, the baby Pokemon will come out knowing that move. Next up, let's talk passing down hidden abilities. If you want an offspring Pokemon to have a hidden ability, one of its parents must have the hidden ability. So if it's a male and a female Pokemon breeding together, the female has to be the one that has the hidden ability, the males will not pass it down. But if you're breeding with a Ditto, males do have a chance of passing down their hidden ability. And now on to passing down Pokeballs. Every Pokeball except the Master Ball and Cherish Ball can be passed down to the baby Pokemon. Now if it's a male and a female Pokemon of the same species, so let's say two Tyranitars for example, it's a 50% chance of which Pokemon the ball is taken from and sent down to the baby. If it's a male and a female of different species, the ball always comes from the female. And if you're breeding with a Ditto, the ball always comes from the non-Ditto Pokemon. Last but not least, I would like to talk to you about shiny Pokemon. So if you're breeding two Pokemon from different language games, the chances of the offspring Pokemon being shiny are 1 in 682, and if you have the shiny charm, the chances are even better with 1 in 512 odds. And a quick honorable mention, the 6 power items, when held by a Pokemon, will guarantee that you pass down that Pokemon's IV to the baby Pokemon, correlating to the stat that it's for. Unfortunately, when using this with the Destiny Knot, it will count as one of the 5 IVs that are brought down. While not as great as it was in previous generations, it still does have its uses, and if you need one, you could pick one up at the Battle Royale Dome. Alright my friends, and that is how you breed Pokemon in Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. It's a lot of information to take in, but once you get the hang of it, breeding is very simple, and you will have some amazing Pokemon in no time. So I want to thank you all for watching this video. This video took a long time to make, so I'd really appreciate it if you left a like and subscribe if you're new. Thanks for watching, and I'll be seeing you guys in the next one. Hope you all have a great day.